during the mid 2000s when the teams were in a young driver hiring phase, kind of like they have been in the last couple of years. And so I was on the list with all the other young drivers at the time, and I got hired by Hendrick Motorsports in 2007, and was my first job, my first gig, I guess you could say, on the job for Hendrick Motorsports was to test Jeff Gordon's Daytona 500 car in 2007. So that was a pretty big day for me. I was 17 years old at the time.
17, hopping in Jeff Gordon's car. That had to be surreal. Were you pinching yourself when you got that moment?
Yeah, it was definitely crazy. It was incredible. To go to that organization. I worked for Hendrick for 5 years. Tested majority of the time. I tested for Jimmy Johnson in the 48 team and Chad Canales, and drove a lot of their cars. I drove Dale Jr.'s cars, Mark Martin's cars, Jeff Gordon's cars, um, Kyle Busch's cars, and and then it was 2009, 2010, 11. I would say is when I started transitioning out of test driving and racing, and I guess by racing I mean start and parking, because my first cup starts were all my first 20 cup starts were all start and parks driving for small teams. But I wouldn't have gotten those opportunities if I hadn't been test driving at the time, because there weren't a lot of drivers in NASCAR that could drive the COT and get them in the show. There was 50 entries at a lot of those races. I remember you were driving for Levine at the time. And it's that was a hard time, and the sport really needed drivers that could qualify those cars into the races. And so my testing experience at Hendrick is really what put me in those rides and got me in the Cup Series.